Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I want to talk about art supply reviews and how you can be a smart consumer when you are watching art supply reviews. It's kind of funny. I was on Facebook the other day and I'm in a watercolor group but I don't really post much on Facebook. I just kind of like, I'm there to be inspired. I love to see what people like make for sketch easels and different things like that. So, you know, I'm in a few groups and I just kind of like lurk and see, you know, I like to see reviews and whatnot. And somebody had asked for recommendations for reviews and my channel came up a few times. And then somebody says, yeah, I like her, although she makes me want to buy a lot of things and a few of the things I've regretted. And well, that kind of made me feel, I felt a little bad. I was like, oh, well, that's too bad. I don't like to recommend things that people don't like, that don't meet their needs. I try to be as honest and unbiased as I can. And that got me thinking. It got me thinking about different products that I've reviewed in the past that have changed quality over the years. And these last couple years in particular, I've noticed huge changes in certain products. And it's to the point where I felt like I need to make this video so that I can inform consumers that maybe watch my channel for reviews, maybe watch a variety of other art YouTubers for reviews, because I recommend other art YouTubers. I like to watch other people's reviews if I'm considering purchasing a product, especially if it's something that it's more expensive. I'll watch some reviews. Oftentimes, it'll talk me out of buying something because I'll really see it clearly. I'll be able to see how it swatches out. I'll be able to see, you know, how big the tubes are. I'll be able to see pigment information, all the stuff that you don't see when you're just looking at a listing online. I mean, if you go on Amazon, generally I found that like buying sets of products are cheaper on Amazon, but buying individual tubes, individual brushes, that sort of thing are cheaper on one of the big art suppliers. But if you're buying a set on Amazon, you don't necessarily can see the pigment information, you don't see the country of origin, all of those things that will kind of clue you into what the value of a product would be. So I just recently restocked a few watercolor paints and I was purchasing from a big art supply company. I was actually purchasing from Jerry Artarama and I ordered a tube of cobalt turquoise watercolor. And I had the 48 set of LUKAS watercolors that I purchased a few years ago and I almost had used up that cobalt turquoise. It was so pretty. And the half pans were only $4 but then a 24 ml tube was only $8.99 and I thought, well, if I get the tube, I can refill my half pan several times. Generally, in my experience, like a 5 ml tube is equivalent to about a half a pan. You know, if you were just squeeze it, dry it down, squeeze it, fill it to the brim, I think it's about the same amount of paint. You can let me know what you think in the comments below, but that's been my experience. So I'm like, wow, a 24 ml tube, that would refill a half pan, you know, almost five times. So I decided to do that. It's only twice the price, but 5 times the amount of paint. I looked at the pigment information for both. They both said they were PB50, which is what the color in my pan said. So that seemed to, you know, correspond. I've got the right color. Okay, I'm ordering it. But when it came in, I swatched it out next to my my pan. And granted, it's a pan paint versus a tube paint, but the colors were vastly different. I had my swatch, I just had my swatch here it is. So this was the, I'm going to turn my light down, I don't know if that will show. This was the pan here, and this was the tube, and I don't know if it's going to show on camera or not, but I did put a black line down before I swatched it. The tube version, first of all, is not PB50, it's PB28, and it's kind of, it's chalky. I can see filler in there. It's definitely got some white added. It reminds me, and I can almost see like a little bit of a yellow undertone, like there might be some like weird binder or unpure gum arabic in there or something. And I was just like, that's not the same color. It reminds me of like the cobalt turquoise that you would get in like say the Art Whale pans, which was made by Superior. You know, they kind of try to copy the Paul Rubens layout of their watercolors and they try to copy the colors a bit, but that's kind of that color, that kind of like milky turquoise. It's not really, it's not a cobalt turquoise. It doesn't granulate. It doesn't, like, this is not granulating. This is kind of like just, instead of granulating, it's kind of patchy and cloudy and just chalky. And I was really disappointed because I got a big tube of it. And I was so excited that, oh wow, I found this gem. I found this great value. The pigment information lines up. It should be the same as what I have. And it was disappointing. And I started to think, I wonder when they switched. I wonder when they changed. And I wonder if we are getting the same paint in America from LUKAS as they are selling in Europe, because another YouTuber who I respected and admire had recommended that color. So, you know, I've been a little hesitant to buy the LUKAS paint in tubes. I've liked the pans a lot, but I thought the tubes, oh, I don't know, that seems too good to be true, you know. But she had actually recommended that color in the tube, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, if she likes it, she's very particular and very careful about what color she buys, I'm gonna give it a try. So I'm wondering, is our American version different? So it's just kind of, it's kind of frustrating, and I feel like with all the transparency that we have and all the information at our fingertips, that it's almost harder to find the information that we need. And one of the things I've thought to do, and actually this week I was playing with my Vinci watercolors. I have, I used to use them when I taught back around, you know, 2000. They were such a great value. They're still a great value. You could get a 37, they used to have these ads in the magazines where you could order a set of 6 split primary tubes, 37 ml paint. I mean, I can show you. These tubes are big. That's watercolor. It's like the size of an acrylic tube, and you could get like a set of 6 of these in a split primary palette for like $40. Maybe not even that much. It was, you know, it was definitely under $40. And it was great for refilling students' palettes, for making palettes for my students, and it was wonderful. And I was thinking, oh, I should like do kind of like a revisiting of that line of paint. I've only bought 1 tube recently, so all the other ones are older. Then I was thinking, well, what if they change? What if they change their formula? And then I'm reviewing paint that I bought 20 years ago, and because, you know, I bought that set several times, so, you know, but probably the last time I bought it was before my kids were born. You know, what if their quality has changed? And it's not something I really thought too much about, being like a bigger kind of name brand art supply or legacy brand. I don't really think of them changing, or if they do change because the pigment is no longer available, they still keep the same quality. But just seeing that with LUKAS has kind of made me think, geez, I don't know if I want to review those older products. Like I have a lot of really beautiful pencil sets. I have polychromos, and I'll use them from time to time, but I have never reviewed them because I purchased them, you know, probably around 2000. What if they've changed? I don't think I've gotten any open stock since then. So, you know, their quality could be different. Maybe not better, maybe not worse, but just different. And then it won't be accurate, and it could lead people down the wrong path. It could entice them to buy something that's not for them, or it could dissuade them from buying something that they love. Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 crayons. I love those. I don't think they've changed because I have bought open stock over the years, but I've been using those since the late 90s, and again, it's another product that I love, and I was kind of afraid I would be overly favoring them, like biased towards favoring them because they've always been a favorite. So that was been another reason I haven't reviewed some of those older legacy brands. But man, just seeing how quickly things have changed in the products being sold on Amazon, and I think the pandemic accelerated it, but I think it was happening before anyway. Like this is an example. So back when the fan palettes first came out, I think Prestigify was the one that was selling them, and they had them on Instagram. And then I was like, that's so cool, but I'm not paying $50 for that. And then I saw this on Amazon for it was like $18.99, and I bought it, and I really liked it. I used it all summer long, and I barely made a dent in some of these pans. None of these pans cracked, and I remember seeing people like say a couple of years after I did this review that the pans cracked and they couldn't even close, or they bent, they curled up, they couldn't even close their palette anymore. I thought, well, maybe they live someplace that's really dry, and because I live in Maine, I don't have that issue, because I really thought this was a great quality for the price. And then I started seeing these palettes going with like having extra water brushes in it and an extra mixing area, but still the same Superior branded palette going for like $12.99. And it's like, how can they do that for $12.99? I mean, I couldn't believe they could do this for $20. And then because I receive a bunch of these to review from different brands, numbers are the same. I believe they're all still made by Superior, but what I've started to notice is that starting to get little cracks on the surface of these. And it's like, they must be using a different binder. These all of these have cracks. I haven't used these nearly as heavily as the other ones. They haven't been soaked with water like the other ones have, and they all, with the exception of the metallics and the pastels probably because I didn't use those very much, they all have, all the ones that I've gotten wet have surface cracks. I'm not even sure if that will even show up on camera, but I'll try to like catch the light a little bit. Maybe you can see that. But but they all have these surface cracks on them. And then another paint that I really liked, and I was like, how can they do that for $20, was this Artsy set of 24. It's another company, it's another set of paints that is allegedly made by Superior, also with the Art Whale paints. The Doodle Hog set of 36 was also that same quality. And people, then people were buying this, finding this on Amazon for like $5. I'm like, I don't know how they did it for $20. How are they doing it for $5? And then I'd see it go on sale for $10 or $15. I'm like, how are they doing that? And of course I would share it with people. I'm like, guys, if you wanted that paint, it's on sale now. And I'd get a bunch of views on the review for this when they would go on sale on Amazon. And then I would see the Amazon reviews and people say that all the paints were all cracked. Like I used it once and then all the paints just kind of like got all cracked and flaky. Mine haven't done that. Mine barely made a dent. I used it quite a bit before I reviewed it, and didn't get any of that issue with my paints. So it's like they've changed the formula, and that's something I have seen happen more times than I care to count. The Pagos color pencils was another product. I tried them, did a few artworks with them, really liked them, thought they performed really well. They were very cheap. And then I saw another reviewer saying they are too awful to review. I'm not even going to review them. And I thought, well, that's kind of elitist. Why would she say that? These are great pencils. And then I went to Amazon and I looked at most recent reviews, and all of the recent reviews were like 1-star, 2-star, terrible, awful, like no pigment, lead's breaking. These are awful. Like that is not the experience I had. These can't be the same pencils. And I scrolled back to be like about 6 months earlier, and then the reviews were all good. That was about the time I got mine and I reviewed mine. So either A, are companies coming out with a decent product, getting good reviews, and deliberately cheapening their product, or B, are companies switching factories when the factories can't meet their demands, or C, are they having to go with cheaper products because everyone's looking for the lowest price, and so they're just making the products cheaper so they can sell them for cheaper. I don't know, but it's definitely made me reluctant to do reviews. I mean, I love to review. I love watching reviews, and I like to review products. I think I'm so curious. And I'm always looking for that diamond in the rough. But I don't want to recommend things and then have the companies change the product, and then have people not be able to get the same things and then be disappointed, because it's one thing for me to go and spend $20 on something and review it, and okay, if it stinks, it stinks. Oh well, post the review anyway, but that's that. If it's great, wonderful, it's great, and then people can see it, and I might make some money on affiliate links, but that's besides the point. Well, obviously I would like things to be better than worse, but then I don't want to get a great product and say, well, this is awesome, check it out, and then people go and buy it, and then it's not the same product that I reviewed. And that's been happening for a long time in the tech industry, I guess, like gadgets, and I really don't buy many tech things, so I really wouldn't know, but it's been happening a lot for a long time in that industry. Like companies would design a product, send it out to digital influencers to review, and then after the review comes out, they make the cheaper products and profit the difference, I guess. But I think it's really sad that we have to worry about that with art supplies, especially when you're buying these kind of strange no-name art supplies on Amazon because you can't afford Daniel Smith, or you can't afford M. Graham, or you can't afford some of these other brands that are more expensive. So you're trying to get quality for a lower price, and that's why I want to review some of these oddball supplies, because I'm trying to find those products that will suit people's needs but not cost an arm and a leg. So it's just something I want people to be aware of. So what I would say is that if you are going to buy some of these kind of new brands or no-name brands on Amazon, look at the most recent reviews, even if you've seen a review online. Look at when that review was filmed. If that review was filmed in 2017, then look at the most recent reviews on Amazon. I hope Pretty Excellent never changes their formulation. I don't think they will. They're affiliated with Paul Rubens, and they've been very consistent. And also, they seem to be a good company. I've reached out to customer service as somebody who's purchased the supplies, and I've also worked with their PR company where they've reached out to me. Different people, different parts of the company, and both have always been very good. And very honest and very respectful. So I don't imagine the Pretty Excellent paints will have any issues with them, or the Paul Rubens. But some of these some of these fly-by-night ones, man, they seem to change, and it's just too bad. Because sometimes you find that diamond in the rough, and I guess if there's a product that you are surprised they can make work for $20 and then all of a sudden it's $7, maybe then it's time to be like, maybe they've cut some corners somewhere, because that's a pretty steep reduction. It's frustrating though. It's frustrating. I don't want people to have bad experiences if they purchase something on my review. Like the Mimik watercolor brushes. I've always had really great luck with the Mimik brushes. Of course, my brushes are years old because they don't wear out very frequently, and I haven't had to replace them. So I keep using the same old ones. They're working great. I did buy a couple of they released some cat, I love cat's tongue shaped brushes, and they recently came out with these. And so I bought both sides. They were 50%. They were on super sale, so they were like $10 and $8 each. So I couldn't resist. I bought them, and I think they're good. The hairs feel a little different. They don't feel the same, though. Like they're, which I don't necessarily think it's bad. Like if I'm looking at the hair quality on the older ones versus the new ones almost have a little bit of a crimped look to them. They're not as slick. They're not as glossy. Not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. It looks like they're adding some different filaments. They better not be putting in real animal fur though, because that's like the whole reason I recommend Mimiks, is because they are mimicking fur. They don't contain fur, but just the texture of the bristles. And I don't know if that's going to show up on camera or not, but these are the two new ones. This is the old one. I've been using these. So far so good. I haven't, although they did lose a little hair when I first used them, and I'm like, that's never happened to me with any Mimik brushes. But other people have said they've purchased the Mimik brushes on my recommendation, and they shedded. They were shedding like crazy. And so I'm like, that is bizarre. I've never had any of my Mimik brushes lose as much as a hair before until these new cat's tongue brushes. I think that I'll be using them some more, but I think they've stopped shedding. And it wasn't a ton. It was like maybe like 5 hairs a piece. So maybe they were just never glued in very well and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that would seriously tick me off if I found out they changed to a blend instead of 100% synthetic. Because it just looks different. The color, I'd say, looks the same, but just the texture, and maybe they've done some sort of like roughening of the follicles of the bristles so that they can hold more water. I always thought the Mimik held water really well anyway, so not an issue, but you know, it's just when somebody has such a drastically different experience with a product, it makes me really question what these companies are doing to their products. And other than the LUKAS watercolors, I haven't seen that happen in any like, name brand art supplies. It's all been like the, inexpensive Amazon ones, but still, it's like, these companies know how valuable the reviews are on their website. So if they're pumping out good stuff to get the good reviews and then they're changing it, that's just deceitful. And I don't like that. And I just want you guys to be aware when you're watching reviews, make sure you take account of the date that the review came out, and then look at the most recent reviews online to make sure that you don't get swindled. And the other thing is, try your product when you get it. Because I was just thinking, I swatched that paint out because I needed to refill my watercolor tin. And if I hadn't double checked the pigment number and swatched it out and either just refilled it and let it dry and kind of forget about it, or if I threw it in my drawer until I needed to refill a tube, I mean, it could be a year before I got to that, or a couple months, Because, if you're shopping online, you probably have a list of things you're getting low on so that you can make the free shipping minimums. Now it's like, because it used to be like $35, now it's like $75. So I'm like, well, there's a few colors I need to restock on. I'm going to grab some other things that I'm low on, just, so I don't have to pay shipping, or so I don't have to place another order right off. And I think a lot of people do that. That's pretty common, especially before I remember back when all the free shipping thresholds were like $199, like $199. It was fine. I was, stocking my studio and the nonprofit I worked for, so it wasn't hard to hit those minimums. But, you would keep a list, and, you wouldn't order until you had 6 months worth of supplies you were going to order. But I mean, with this, if you're stocking up and you're not even looking, swatching that out or using that product for another year, you're gonna forget or it'll be too late to return it. And I did actually email the customer service on that LUKAS paint, so I'll see what they say. I don't know if they'll want me to send it back. I'm frustrated. I don't think I'm going to use that color because for $9, it was like $8.99 or something. For $9, I could get a stick of Daniel Smith cobalt turquoise, and I mean I think the Da Vinci tubes and the Daniel Smith sticks are probably, like, as far as like artist quality watercolor, probably the best value. Of course, you don't have all the colors in the range in those products, but like a Daniel Smith stick is equivalent to about 3 full pans, and I think a 24 ml tube would be equivalent to more like 2.5 full pans. So it would have been a better deal. It would have been a better deal anyway, but because I liked that color and I had it in a palette already, I ordered that. So anyway, yeah, just me complaining about things changing. Get off my lawn. It's kind of like when you think about being a kid, and like I remember picking tomatoes, and like I would eat tomatoes off the vine. My parents had a big garden, and I have not ever in my adult life I have not been able to find a tomato that tastes as good as tomatoes right off the vine. And I think about like that. I think of like our food. I don't think it's all our tastes changing through the years. I think our food's changing. The quality of our food is changing. I think the quality of our art supplies is changing, and it's not for the better. It's not changing for the better. I do think that a lot of the budget brands have kind of upped their game, but I think it's made a lot of the mid-range stuff kind of lower their game. So if you look at like Cotman watercolors from the late 90s, I have a set of the set that was sold in America was the studio set. The Cotman studio set sold in America in like the late 90s was a set of 24 full pans, and they were made in England. And they used real cadmiums, real cobalts. The colors were really nice, really robust. They were a great value. And then then they switched over to France. And I don't know if I have some tubes from England. I think might have some pans from France. But now they're made in China, and the quality definitely has changed a bit. I noticed like they have the almost kind of like syrupy texture to them when you wet them, whereas like the ones that were made in England, and I think the ones in France, but the ones I have anywhere made in England, they're very transparent. They're not viscous. They're very bright. There doesn't seem to be a lot of fillers in them. The pigments they used were higher quality, and it seems like there's less extenders. But Cotman prices haven't really come down. I think they have lowered their quality without lowering their price, but they've managed to keep their prices pretty much the same. But I think a lot of like these kind of no-name brands have actually come up and surpassed a lot of the old student grade paints that we would buy in like your brick and mortar art supply stores. They've gotten a little bit better, but now I think they've kind of hit to the point where, okay, we got to start cutting back on costs because people are only going to pay this much, or people are expecting to pay less. I don't know. I'm just seeing a decline in quality, and it's kind of bugging me. I know, kind of a rant. Kind of a rant, but I mean, it's just kind of a rant of just be careful before you buy. You know, I think most reviewers on YouTube are trying to get out the most accurate information. I know I am. And then sometimes we're, you know, especially if we're used to a brand and we've always liked the products that a brand has come out with, it's very easy for us to say, oh yes, it's another one like this. These are great. But we might not be aware of like, oh, maybe they changed the binder because these seem to be drying flaky or shiny, or, you know, these smell funny or something like that. So, as reviewers, I think we need to be very careful and not just take for granted that this is another identical product, because it could, you know, the same product 5 years from now or even a year from now might be completely different. Does that make any sense? Did I just ramble for 25 minutes? I'm sorry, that's 25 minutes of your life you're never getting back. But if it saves you from buying stuff that you're not going to use, then it's worth it, I think. It's frustrating. It happens with paper too. You know, paper can change from the same company. I've never seen it happen so quickly though. I've never seen changes in qualities from the same brands so fast. Like, and maybe it's a pandemic thing, but I think it's more of a competition thing. Like companies just trying to race to the bottom, trying to come out with products cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper until they that they have to sacrifice quality. One thing that I noticed, it was funny when I, the company Doodle Hog, which is an American company, but they get their stuff in China just like most of the newer companies do, they had a set of 48 and it was like $15. I bought it for the tin, honestly, and the paints were all right. Like, I thought, that's not bad. Then they hired me to do some videos for them, and they sent me the 36 set. The 36 sets were way better. It was like the artsy paint. And I was like, oh, this paint is different. They didn't know that it was from a different, like I talked to the PR person. She's like, I don't know. I thought it was all the same. So that's another thing. So if you see a review for a product that is like say, a 12 set or a 24 set or a 48 set, it does not mean any of the other sets they sell in different sizes will be the same paint, because often they have to get them from different factories. So that's another buyer beware. If you see somebody review a 24 set and they love it, so you see, oh wait, there's a 72 set, I'm going to buy that. Doesn't mean it's the same product. So you know, and when you're looking on Amazon, when you're looking at those reviews, you got to see what size set the person is reviewing, because somebody could say this is awful, they got the 72 set. Somebody else say this is great, they got the 12 set. The size set matters too, because it could be from a completely different factory. These companies don't really have much control about that. They're ordering these products. They might not even be painters. They might not even know like how these products are supposed to react. So it's definitely important to pay attention on those reviews of what size set. And sometimes companies will change the listings and put a different product in the same spot. So you have all these reviews, but they were from a complete different old product. So you have to see if you could tell if they're reviewing the same product that's just gone up. It's very murky, and I think it's very difficult to be a consumer right now. And also, you don't know where the products are originating from. Like, it used to be, like, if I'm looking for pastels and I see that these oil pastels are made in Korea, it's like, oh, they're probably Mungyo. Those are going to be pretty good. Or, you know, if I can see they're made in China or they're made wherever, I might be able to, like, correlate what factory they might be coming from, what other products they might be similar to. But they don't put that information on Amazon. I don't know why they don't put a country of origin. You'd think that would be something basic that they would have, but they don't. And it just makes it even more murky for consumers to deal with. So I just wanted to put all that out there to maybe help you put the brakes on if you're looking to buy a bunch of supplies or you're getting really excited about a review. Just dig deeper, look for others, get second opinions so that you don't end up with a bunch of supplies you can't use or wasted money, because I know you need that, right? You need that in your pocket. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.